Hello YouTube, it's your boy B3 here, back with another kicking graphic novel review. Sorry about my scratchy throat, I'm kinda sick. I'm gonna be chugging Sprite all day to kinda deal with that. Mmm. 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 So pardon me if I have to chug a little during this review. But today, we're doing a very special book. Superman Volume 5, Hopes and Fears from Rebirth. I love Rebirth Superman. I've been reviewing all the Rebirth Superman stuff I can get my hands on. It's a really great book. I'm going to read you the back real quick. Who is Superman? What does he value? What does he fear? And when he's pushed, how far will he go? Find out in a trio of stories that get to the heart of the world's greatest superhero. First, a family vacation for the Kents becomes a lesson on what it truly means to be a hero. Then, an epidemic of disappearing children brings Superman face to face with fear itself, as well as the man who seeks to control fear, Sinestro. And finally, Superman's greatest fear seems to come true, as Lois finds herself the target of the super assassin who never misses his mark, Deathstroke the Terminator. Can Deathstroke make a murderer out of Superman if it means saving Lois's life? Find out in Superman Volume 5, Hopes and Fears, as the stellar creative team of Peter J. Tomasi, Patrick Gleason, Doug Mahnke, Tyler Kirkham, and more explore what makes the Man of Steel great. Collect Superman 27 through 32. All those names you just heard are all great, especially Tomasi. Love Tomasi. His work on Green Lantern Corps was so Gucci. But Patrick Gleason, Doug Mahnke, Tyler Kirkham, all of these are great names. They always do great stuff in comics. And Superman Rebirth is just a perfect book. The first book, the first story, it's not even superhero stuff. It's the Kents going on a road trip. And it's talking about U.S. history and the history of all our wars, and it's honoring our troops, and all this beautiful stuff. And it's just an amazing, amazing book. Really what Superman's all about. Just beautiful writing, beautiful imagery. It's a really great dedication to our troops and to our great country. Yeah. They even meet these people who are talking about, our ancestor's body was never found. He fought for the Union in the Civil War. Since we can't give him a burial, we meet here on his birthday every 4th of July. Because 4th of July was his birthday and the day he died. And they're like, we always meet here to honor him, and Superman found his body and brought it to them. Excuse me. And then the next story involves some of my favorite Gucci, the Lanterns. If you've been following these reviews, you know Lanterns are my favorite. And we get a pretty cool story about children that are disappearing, and it's actually Parallax, a weakened Parallax, has been abducting children to power himself with fear. Superman finds Parallax and tries to stop him, but Superman actually ends up letting himself get possessed by Parallax, because Parallax says he'll let the children go if Superman lets him possess him. So there's a Parallax-possessed Superman, very crazy, and then that Superman tries to kill Sinestro, who comes to absorb Parallax, because, for a while, Parallax has been a prisoner of Sinestro. Sinestro's been using Parallax's power. Sinestro teleports Superman back to Quard, where he intends on ripping Parallax out of him, but he can't find Parallax. It turns out Parallax hid in a weaponer, but he pulls all of Superman's greatest fears out of him. We get to see all of Superman's greatest fears. Excuse me. But, Sinestro and Parallax are both defeated. Sinestro's actually a really good villain for Superman. Because, Superman's all about peace and people doing what they want and hope, and Sinestro's all about fear and fascism and all this junk. So they're actually a really good match. I really enjoyed it. But the Weaponer sends Superman back home because Superman actually saved some of them from Sinestro's wrath. And then the next story is about Lois going to interview Deathstroke. She tracks down Deathstroke to interview him, and the interview goes really well. The story turns out to be really good. People love it. Perry White is ecstatic about it. And then Deathstroke shows up to kill Lois, and he fights Superman. And it turns out Deathstroke wasn't trying to kill Lois the whole time. He was just trying to see if he could push Superman into becoming a murderer. And it turns out he was hired by Amanda Waller to test Superman's moral strength, in case she needed to manipulate him someday. Also, how good is it that Amanda Waller is a big woman again? In New 52, she was a fucking twig. And I hated that. She wasn't intimidating looking. When she's a big woman, she's intimidating looking, and you know she's strong because a large black woman getting as far as she has in the U.S. government, I mean, because let's face it, it's a bunch of old white men in our U.S. government who are sexist, racist, and also sizist. Is that the right word? So, I mean, she's probably one of the strongest women in DC Comics, just for her strength of character. But I mean, this was a really good book. Those 3 stories were all really good, and they definitely paint an excellent picture of what Superman is. So if you want to teach someone what Superman is all about, have them read this book. Superman Volume 5, Hopes and Fears. It tells you everything you need to know about Superman. We get to see a lot of Jonathan and Lois. I love Jonathan Kent as a character. Having Lois and Superman back together is really excellent. I wasn't the biggest fan of Superman and Wonder Woman together. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't really like super good either. I mean, Rebirth Superman is just a perfect book. I haven't read a bad volume yet, and they just keep getting better. So that's it. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the links in the description below, Facebook, Twitter, etc. I don't know what book we'll have next, but if I had to guess, it would be Green Lantern's New Guardians Volume 2. So that's it. Thank you all once again for your support. Support us on Patreon so we can afford to get more books for you guys. I have stacks and stacks of books that I'm going to review. It's mostly DC, I'm not going to lie to you guys, but I got plenty of Marvel, and I got plenty of third-party publishers too. So that's it. Thank you all once again, and I'll see you all later.